tonight on First at 9 this Monday the 28th of October 2024. No travel ban. The US has not imposed a travel ban on Sri Lanka, clarifies the US ambassador. Assures continuous support for the government in ensuring the security of tourists. Revealed. Former MP Udega Mampila reveals Imam Committee report on the Easter attacks. Accuses government of protecting officials who provided false information to foreign media. Choose wisely. No nation can progress while politics remains a business, says President Dissanayaka. SJB leader Sajith Premadasa pledges foreign debt extension. Sarva Janabale leader Dilip Jayavira promises dignified jobs for state workers. Unfulfilled promise. Queues form in front of Immigration and Emigration Office despite government's promise to issue new passport.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Tharindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. In your top story this evening, US Ambassador Julie Chung affirms that the United States has not issued a travel ban on Sri Lanka. Addressing a media briefing, the ambassador clarified that the recent security alert issued was only for US citizens to avoid the Arugambe area in light of the intelligence received regarding a potential attack in the region. The envoy went on to say that the overall travel advisory for Sri Lanka remains at level 2, where it has been for several years, and added that the US is committed to supporting Sri Lanka in ensuring continued safety and stability in the country's tourism sector. Sri Lanka's state intelligence received reports from foreign intelligence regarding a potential attack targeting Israeli citizens in the Arugambe area. In response, security in the Arugambe area was increased. Against this backdrop, the US Embassy issued a statement advising US citizens to refrain from travelling to popular tourist spots in Arugambe until further notice. Following the warning issued by the US Embassy, several other embassies and high commissions, including those from the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand and Russia, issued similar advisories. Meanwhile, investigations regarding the alleged attack in Arugambe led to the apprehension of 3 individuals suspected to be involved in the attack. Police also obtained detention orders under the Prevention of Terrorism Act to further interrogate the 3 suspects. Against this backdrop, US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung today remarked on Sri Lanka's security situation.
One of my duties as a US Ambassador is to ensure the safety and security of American citizens here in Sri Lanka. Globally, all around the world, our US embassies operate under what's called a duty to warn. If we become aware of a credible, specific security threat, we are required to share that information with our staff, U.S. citizens, and the host government. So this approach is also standard practice worldwide. When we became aware of a specific threat in the Arugambe area, we shared these known details with Sri Lankan authorities, who responded quickly. We continue to actively coordinate with them on a daily basis, and we value our partnership with Sri Lanka's leadership and security officials, whose commitment to safety and transparency is notable. There is no travel ban on Sri Lanka. Our security alert last week is for Americans to avoid Arugambe until further notice. But our overall security advisory, travel advisory for Sri Lanka remains exactly the same at level 2, which has been so for many years. And this is similar to advisories of many other popular destinations, including the Maldives, France, and Italy. All the same at level 2, Sri Lanka remains at level 2. So we know that continued safety and stability are essential for a thriving tourism sector, which we support, absolutely. So we're fully committed to supporting Sri Lanka's efforts to create that secure, welcoming environment for all.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
කාගෙත් ප්‍රියතම මෙලිබන් බිස්කට් දැන් 30ක් සීනි අඩුවෙන් රස දන්න කාටත්
හරිෂෝ
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Long queues have re-emerged in front of the Department of Immigration and Emigration in Battaramulla to obtain passports despite a stock of new passports being printed. The previous government had ordered 7,500 passports and the current government took steps to issue the new passports starting on the 23rd of October. However, the public who remained in long queues today expressed their frustration, stating that the issuance of new passports is not done efficiently. This development comes despite Cabinet spokesperson Minister Vijitha Herath recently informing that sufficient passports will be available in future and requesting the public not to create unnecessary traffic. Pivituru Helaurume leader Uday Gammampila revealed that the committee appointed to investigate the claims made in the controversial Channel 4 documentary regarding the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks, which was chaired by retired Supreme Court Justice S.I. Imam, came to the conclusion that the claims made in the program were false. Gammampila made this claim during a media briefing convened to publicize the Imam Committee report. He further revealed that a prominent official of the current government aided Channel 4 to raise the unfounded accusations against Sri Lankan intelligence services. The first of this month, Pivituru Helaurume leader Uday Gammampila revealed the report of the committee chaired by retired High Court Judge A.N.J.D. Alvis regarding the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks. Meanwhile, today, Gammampila convened a media briefing to reveal the report of the committee chaired by retired Supreme Court Justice S.I. Imam, which was appointed to investigate the claims made in the Channel 4 documentary regarding the Easter attacks.
2023 සැප්තැම්බර් මාසේ 5 වෙනිදා Channel 4 නාලිකාවේ විකාශනය වූ Sri Lanka Easter bombings කියන වැඩසටහනේ
On the 5th of September 2023, Channel 4 aired a program titled Sri Lanka's Easter bombings. The allegation made in this program is that in order to make a Buddhist leader president, a group of Muslim youths executed a series of suicide bombings at Catholic churches. They further claimed that the attacks were perpetrated by Sri Lankan military intelligence with the intention of bringing Gotabaya Rajapaksa into power. In order to investigate the validity of these claims, a committee was appointed under the chairmanship of retired Supreme Court Justice S.I. Imam. Neither the Cardinal, the National People's Power, nor any other party raised objections regarding this committee. It is the report of this committee that we are publicizing today. In the Channel 4 documentary, an individual named Azad Maulana made several accusations against Sri Lankan intelligence services. The main accusation was that in February 2018, the then head of the military intelligence, Suresh Sale, met with a group of individuals including Mohammad Zahran Hashim at a house located on a coconut plantation in Vanathavilluwa and planned the Easter attacks. However, the committee during its investigations uncovered evidence to the contrary. In 2019, when explosives were discovered on the plot of land in question, 2 suspects were arrested. One of them was Hanif Mufiz. Upon questioning, Mufiz revealed that the house located on the plot of land was constructed between August and September 2018. This means that there was no house on the land when Suresh Saleh allegedly met with the group, including Zahran Hashim, which proves that Azad Maulana's statement was false. Additionally, from November 2016 until December 2018, Suresh Saleh was attached to the Sri Lankan High Commission in Malaysia. Within that period, he only came to Sri Lanka in November 2017. Further, the police officers who provided evidence before the commission confirmed that throughout the entirety of February 2018, the group, including Zahran, only resided within the Batiklo and Ampara districts. Data from the cellular network towers also confirmed that they had not left the eastern province within that period. Therefore, the committee's conclusion was that Azad Maulana made false allegations against Sri Lanka in the Channel 4 documentary with the intention of obtaining asylum in Switzerland. After the program was aired, the Ministry of Defence denied all allegations made in it. Suresh Saleh threatened legal actions if the accusations were not withdrawn, and Channel 4 removed the program from the internet. An individual that claims to be a retired high-ranking police official appears on the program. This individual's face has been obscured and their voice altered. Those who watched the documentary believe this individual to be a certain prominent official of the Criminal Investigation Department. The current government has appointed this official to one of the country's highest officers. The government's responsibility is to uncover the identity of this official who aided Channel 4 in making these unfounded allegations. If this individual is currently holding an important office, they must be stripped of it and punished. We challenge the government to appoint a committee of investigation to uncover the identity of these retired officials.
නිලධාරියා කවුද සොයාගන්න විමර්ශන කමිටුවක් පත් කරන්න කියලා. මේ පුද්ගලයා කවුදයි කියලා තහවුරු කිරීමක් කරලා නැහැ.
This individual's identity has not been confirmed. There is only conjecture. The report does not contain any mention of their name. If it did, I would reveal it. There is conjecture among politicians, government officials and society regarding the identity of its official based on their voice and what they revealed in the program. However, because it is only a conjecture, my revealing their name would be unfair to this individual.
පුද්ගලයාගේ නම කිව්වොත් ඒකේ පුද්ගලයාට කරන අසාධාරණයක් වෙනවා.
Sri Lanka decides 2024.
President Anura Dissanayake is of the view that only politicians who view politics as a public service should represent the next parliament. In the meantime, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya responded to former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's claims regarding the public servant's salary increment, stating that the previous government made the decision without consulting the Treasury or the Ministry of Finance. A parliamentary election rally of the National People's Power was held yesterday in Beruwala under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake.
ජනාධිපති අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක සහෝදරයා
පළමු කොටම මේ රට ගොඩනැගීම සඳහා අපේ රටේ තිබෙන මේ දේශපාලන වෙනස් කරන්න ඕන.
We must change this country's politics as the initial step towards its development. As long as the politicians view politics as a business, they will not take decisions that are in the interest of the country. The Minister of Health is eager to profit from imported medicines and medical equipment, leading to the importation of low-quality products. When this sector turns into a business, it begins to fall apart. Investors come to the country offering low prices for renewable energy projects. The responsible minister will only approve them if they promise to give him a commission. We question how ministers and parliamentarians in this area can afford to buy ships or build hotels, as they cannot do so solely on their salaries. Therefore, we must transform this business-like political culture into a public service. It is the politicians who view politics as a public service who should represent the parliament. At the moment, most of officials of corporations and boards whom we appointed are working without compensation. For the first time, the chairman of Lanka is not receiving a salary and does not even receive a vehicle from the company. Meanwhile, the country's education system has experienced a significant decline. There are children who are out of school and schools that lack students. There are about 1,200 schools that doesn't have more than 50 children. To address this, we will initiate a project with the Ministry of Education to assess school development and whether children should be transferred to other schools. In this way, we aim to solve the issue of under-enrollment and children without access to schools. We have carefully planned a transformation in the country's education system. Therefore, keep in mind that we are committed to developing this country.
ඉතා සැලසුම් සාගතව අපි අධ්‍යාපන ශාස්ත්‍ර නව පරිවර්තනයක් ගැන සැලසුම් කරලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මතක තියාගන්න මේ රට අපි ගොඩනගන.
In the meantime, another rally of the National People's Power was held yesterday in Paduka under the patronage of Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
දැන් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ කිව්වට රාජ්‍ය සේවකයන්ගේ වැටුප් වැඩි කරන්න තීරණයක් ගත්තා කියලා. අපි මේ කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවේ සාකච්ඡාව ඒ කැබිනට් එකේ ගත්ත තීරණය අපි බලනකොට ඒකට භාණ්ඩාගාරයෙන්වත් මුදල් අමාත්‍ය අංශයේ නිලධාරීන්ගෙන්වත් අනුමැතියක් ලබාගෙන නෙවෙයි ඒ තීරණය අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. තීරණය ප්‍රකාශ කරා. නමුත් තීරණය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න ඕන කොටස කළා නෙවෙයි ඒ තීරණය අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට මොකක්ද ඒකෙන් කියන්නේ? ඒක ඉතාම පැහැදිලිවම ජනතාව නොමග යවන්න මැතිවරණ කාලයක් තුල දුන්න බොරු පොරොන්දුවක්.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
කාගෙත් ප්‍රියතම මෙලිබන් බිස්කට් දැන් 30ක් සීනි අඩුවෙන්. රස දන්න කාටත්
හරිෂෝ.
දරුවන් ගැන ඒ තරම්ම හිතන නිසයි ලංකාවේ අම්මලා විශ්වාසයෙන් මෙලිබන් කිරිම දෙන්නේ.
After O-Levels, start your Australian university degree in just 8 months with ACVT's Foundation Program. Enrollments close on 21st October. Call 071 115 1234 for Colombo or 077 011 3223 for Kandy.
Diabetes all සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
Meanwhile, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe asserts that discussions with the International Monetary Fund are being unnecessarily delayed due to the government's lack of urgency. Addressing a rally of the New Democratic Front, the former president highlighted that government funds are being handled by the parliament and requested the public to vote to elect members to parliament who are capable of handling issues which may arise due to the lack of funds. A public meeting of the New Democratic Front was held in Aturugiriya today under the patronage of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The
IMF agreed with the proposal to raise these salaries since there were sufficient funds in the treasury. This decision, which was made formally, was also included in the relevant report. However, President Dissanayake questions the reasons for compiling this report at the last moment. Over time, he will understand how these decisions are being made at the last moment. However, once the IMF arrived in the country, we failed to come to an agreement with them. The government said that the relevant discussions will be carried out in New York. On Saturday, President Anura Dissanayake said that a government economic consultant and several representatives of the Ministry of Finance are currently holding discussions with the IMF regarding the various proposals to form a budget suitable for the country. However, a newspaper article said the discussions are not over yet and they will conclude after the budget is tabled. The budget is set to be tabled in March next year. I laid the foundation for this procedure. He just had to sign the relevant documents. They could have entered into an agreement with the IMF in Colombo and this could have been finalized in New York. The budget could have been formed then. However, now they need to hold more talks with the IMF. What else is there to be discussed? People need to know the truth. A total of 4 trillion rupees was allocated for last year's budget. At the end of the year, the state revenue was at 3.7 trillion rupees. The incumbent government has to take this forward. However, according to them, with all these new proposals in place, the state expenditure would be at least 5.5 trillion rupees. On the other hand, the state revenue is coming down to 3 trillion rupees. Therefore, the budget deficit surges to 2.5 trillion rupees. This means that more revenue should be generated. How can we generate money? Is this government planning to print money? We agreed that no more money printing would occur in the country. I request that the government reveal the truth. There is an upcoming parliamentary election. Government funds are handled by the parliament. Therefore, if there is a possibility that issues might arise regarding the lack of funds, I request that the public vote for individuals who are capable of handling such a situation. I request that the public vote for individuals who are capable of handling such a situation.
Sarva Jana Bale leader Dilip Jayavira says that certain aspects of the incumbent government's future plans lack insights due to the new administration's inexperience. Addressing an electorate meeting of Sarva Jana Bale, Jayavira emphasised that his alliance will support the government in implementing proposals that benefit the public and will offer additional plans aimed at creating dignified employment for state sector employees. The Jayala electorate meeting of Sarva Jana Bale was held last evening under the patronage of the alliance's leader Dilip Jayavira.
I was not included on the national list out of sympathy. In the past, we have seen leaders use people with disabilities to gain sympathy. Dilip Jayavira could have simply nominated one of his friends, but he went beyond that and worked to build a party rooted in ethics and integrity.
පහුගිය ජනාධිපතිවරණෙත් දිලිත් ජයවීර මැතිතුමා ඡන්දය ඉල්ලනකොට ලංකාව පුරා ජනතාවගෙන් 100න් එක්කෙනෙක්.
In the last presidential election, voters from every district showed their support for Dilip Jayavira, expressing a desire for a leader who champions entrepreneurship. They wanted to bring a capable leader into power. That was their opinion.
ව්‍යවසායක ශේත්‍රයේ නායකයෙක් බව එතුමාව ගේන්න ඕනි බව තමයි මේ පණිවිඩය දීලා තිබ්බේ.
දැන් ආණ්ඩුවක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඔවුන් වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ගෙනල්ලා තියෙනවා. වැඩපිළිවෙලේ හොඳ දේවලුත් තියෙනවා.
The current government has proposed a plan that includes positive initiatives that we should support. However, some aspects lack thorough consideration. For instance, individuals without experience in managing even a small business have promised to raise state sector salaries every 6 months, which is not practical. To address this, we need to enter parliament to present realistic, well thought out plans that provide dignified employment for state sector employees.
ලබා දෙන්නට නම් අපි යන්නට ඕන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට.
Meanwhile, Sarva Jana Bale's women's conference was held last afternoon in Dompe.
Empowering women through entrepreneurship is essential for the country's development. We have a solid plan and we are asking you to send us to Parliament as a strong opposition.
Samagi Jana Balawege leader Sajith Premadasa says former President Ranil Wickremesinghe deliberately led the country towards further challenges by committing to begin debt servicing by 2028. Speaking at a public meeting, Premadasa asserted that only Samagi Jana Balawege possesses the solutions needed to address such a significant issue in the future. The Kolonava electorate meeting of Samagi Jana Balawege aimed at the upcoming general election was held yesterday under the patronage of party leader Sajith Premadasa.
The former president who contested under the symbol gas cylinder created an illusion for the public and led the country into further challenges. Even when the IMF recommended starting debt servicing in 2033, the former president and his government committed to begin it by 2028. Consider for a moment whether it is practical for us to undertake such a challenging responsibility by 2028. Clearly it is not. We view this as a deliberate disservice to the 22 million citizens of our country. Only the SJB has a viable solution to address this issue.
With that, here's a look at more thoughts shared on the political arena ahead of the parliamentary election.
The NPP obtained only 3% of the votes in 2019 presidential election. The 43% of votes we obtained this year represent not only those who voted for the NPP during the previous election, but those who voted for other political parties previously and voted for us this time. They cast their votes for the NPP because they believed in President Anura Dissanayake and his vision for change. We request that people vote for the NPP in the upcoming general election to allow us to execute the plan of President Anura Dissanayake.
It seems that none of the proposals presented by the National People's Power prior to the presidential election will come into effect. They made several promises before elections. They vowed to raise the salaries of government employees. As the previous government, we ensured that the necessary provisions are in place to increase public servant salaries. However, now they claim that the salaries cannot be increased until June next year.
Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, whom we support during the previous election, pledged to increase the government employees' salaries if elected to the presidency. However, he did not win the presidential poll. Even if he assumes the office of president, he wouldn't be able to raise the public servant salaries. Although cabinet approval has been granted, sufficient funds are not available. They are planning to oust the incumbent president in the same manner as former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Therefore, I urge President Dissanayake not to fall into this trap. If not, this will cause the country to collapse once again.
Sri Lanka decides 2024.
Welcome back. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed in green today as a result of price gains in counters such as LLC Holdings, Browns Investments and Nations Development Bank. The All Share Price Index closed 0.74% higher at 12,610.06 points and the S&P SL 20 closed 0.84% higher at 3,790.90 points. The market turnover crossed 4.4 billion rupees. The banking sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, followed by the capital goods sector. Foreign participation in the market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 98 million rupees. Meanwhile, the Colombo Stock Exchange was placed as the second best performing equity index in Asia, with the SPI boasting a year-to-year date return of 29.65% in US dollars. The CSE said this performance underscores the resilience of Sri Lanka's capital market and its growing appeal to both local and international investors. Up next, we have Ashini Wickremesuriya from Capital Alliance with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
The domestic stock market had an increase in the last week. The S&P SL20 increased 3.75% to 3,759, while the ASPI increased in 1.66% from 12,313 to 12,518. Market turnover surged by 118% to 15 billion rupees. The government raised 125 billion rupees last week via treasury bill auctions. During the auction, all bills' interest rates stayed unchanged.
Sri Lankan renewable energy firm Windforce plc has commissioned a 366 kilowatt peak rooftop solar power project at Cocoon Island in the Maldives. With that, here's a look at more corporate news in brief.
Windforce plc officially commissioned a 364 kilowatt peak rooftop solar project in Cocoon Island in the Maldives in partnership with Cocoon Investment Private Limited. This engineering, procurement and commissioning project, launched on the 20th of October this year, aims to lower the resort's carbon footprint through solar energy utilization. The project is expected to be completed within 6 months with an investment cost of $296,372. Meanwhile, Union Bank received the ISO 27001-2022 certification from the International Organization for Standardization for maintaining information security. This certification demonstrates compliance with various legal and regulatory requirements that ensures customers and stakeholders of the bank that information is highly secured.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.